Welcome back, guys. In this video, we will talk about one of the most unused reports in analytics. This report is used by people who work with an enterprise e-commerce site and want to really get more insights about something that goes beyond general user behavior. Analytics is a wonderful tool which will give you insights about which pages people land, where they exit, bounce rate, how they navigated the entire sequence of parts, right? And you can get amazing advanced segments. And the entire schema of analytics is built with standard reports, right? You can even customize the implementation of analytics, but that's for another video. But here I want to talk about one such amazing report that a lot of people don't use, and that report is nothing but the site search report. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever used this tool called site search, right? Site search is basically a report that Google gives to people who are using analytics on their site to track what people are searching on your website. See, if you are an e-commerce site, definitely you have inventory. A lot of people come to your site and they search for a particular product. So you want to see what people are searching and the behavior of the people after they search something in the internal search engine, internal search box of your website. You want to know what they're searching and what they have done after they search. They immediately left the site, how many times they saw the result page, how much time they spent on the site after performing a search, how many pages they went deeper, page depth after performing a search. That means I want to create one particular report which will keep the users searching on my site at the center and then trying to get more reports from it. So you see, you go to site search report, you'll have overview. The first thing is overview. When you go to overview, you'll have sessions with search. This tells you how many sessions were there during the time range that you selected where people performed a search. Unique searches. That means in one session, if you search for same thing twice, it will be counted as once, right? Results page use. That means after you search, you see the results page, right? How many times on an average a user sees that results page, right? Percentage search exit, which means after performing a search, how many of them immediately leave or exit after performing the search. Right? Refinement means when you search, for example, I go to, you come to my website and you search for something called, shoes, and then you immediately search for something called t-shirts. That means first time you entered something called shoes, then you entered something called shirt. That's the difference, right? So whenever people search on my website during one session, and whenever they search, there were two different search terms they entered. That's called search refinements. And you'll find how much time people spent after performing a search, right? And you can go to usage. You can see how people are using my site, specifically keeping that in view, the action that people do on my site, which is performing a search. You see visits without site search, visits with site search. So you can see all these details, more like the ABC, acquisition behavior and conversion reports. You can go and see the search terms as well. When you go to search terms, you'll find what people are searching on my site. It's particularly important when you work with an e-commerce site to understand what people are searching, what product is in demand. So you can probably, aggressively market that. Or if you find that people are searching for a product that you don't have, so you can source that product and, increase your inventory or build your inventory. Or maybe you can identify the stock, the present available stock, and then keep on increasing it. Then that is where, if you work with an e-commerce site, you'll have somebody called buyers, purchase managers, whose job is to overlook and manage this inventory, right? Now you can go how many unique searches were performed, how many after performing this particular search term. That means you will get details about what people are doing with respect to each specific or each unique search term that people have entered in the internal search engine of your website. How many people have exited, search refinements, time after search is amazing. And you can even go and check how much of, on an average after performing a search, how many pages people go. For example, you come to my site, you perform a search, and then you go to 3 pages or 4 pages. So I want to know that report. Right? Are people who are searching are immediately leaving, or they spend more time than compared to people who are not performing anything, right? So you go to search pages, you will see something called which pages people started their search. And then you want to know, Prashant, do people start on the search on the product page or a category page? You can find all these details. But the question is, just because you place Google Analytics tracking code on the site, is Google smart enough to track whatever people search in the search box of your website? No. For that to happen, what you have to do is you have to go to admin section. In the view settings, you'll have something called site search. You enable that and you give a query parameter. Query parameter is you have to specify Google, or you have to inform Google, whenever people perform a search on my site. Example, I'll show you. Let me go to one site. Let me go to one site called HHGreg. I'm just showing you one example, a random example. This is interesting. This is something that will really add value. If you work with an enterprise client, this is very useful. And off late, we were working on a lot of clients where we got some amazing piece of details where they were really focused on increasing the inventory, which was very popular and in demand. Right. So you come here, maybe I search for something called headphones. See here, the site is hhgreg.com, but when I search headphones, I click on enter. You see, automatically whatever user search is added to something called Q is equal to headphones. So I can go to analytics, and when I enable site search tracking, there I specify Google. This is the query parameter Q. And please identify this, because whenever people perform a search, whatever the search is appended to the URL in the form of query parameter, and that query parameter that we specify is Q here. For some website it is S, for some website it is P, whatever, it depends. You have to identify that. You can't just go and be generic and say I'll put S and Q and P, right? And here they also specify the type of product. For example, if you go to categories, at times people also add what category of product you're searching, right? This is the results page, right? But if you work with Shopify, it's wonderful, because Shopify has this system in place where people, whatever search, it is automatically added to the URL. It is called post method. Get method. So basically there are two kinds of search engines available on a website: post method and get search engine. Get method. Get method is whenever people search here, the browser makes a request to server. Server is seated somewhere, right? So it makes a request to server and says, hey, this is the request. People are searching for this, and all the instructions that are sent to a server. So server can send you the results, those instructions to a server, so server can perform that query and send that results back to you, which is all these details, the results. So whenever this search engine is a get based search engine, the instruction that is sent by browser to the server is always added to the query parameters. So the server knows, hey, he's asking me something, I have to return the results to him. So what result should I give him? Oh, this is what he's asking me. He wants results for headphones. But there are some other search engines which are post method. Post method means they make a request to server, and server has to respond to the request from the browser. But that request, when it is being raised with the instructions, it will not send instructions in the URL. It will send along with the body. Why some information is sensitive. Example, you buy something on my site and you enter your card details, so you enter your first name, last name. So I can't send all these details in the query parameter, because somebody can copy it, and a lot of things can happen. So what they do is they don't send all those details to server in the get method. Get method means you send details to server. You send instructions to server by appending all those details to query parameter. Here they don't do that. They send as part of the body, right? So, but generally, when it comes to site search tracking and analytics, site search tracking will only work provided your search engine or the search bar on your website uses a post method. That means Google should be able to see what people have searched, and that should happen only when your browser is making a request to your server and sending that instructions as part of query parameters. You see, here people have searched headphones, and that is being sent as part of query parameters. Now, if it is there, wonderful. Shopify has it inbuilt. But I come across certain websites where the e-commerce site is a custom e-commerce site, or they use other they don't use the Shopify native features. So for them it becomes difficult. I'll show you one website. See, there's one website called Laser Ammo. See, I come to this site. So when I come to this site, imagine if I'm searching for something called simulators. When I type something called simulators, you see, I made a request. Now the browser made a request to server, and server gave the results as well. But see, when server was sent the request, it was not sent along with query parameters. So if I want to search or track what people are searching on my site, I cannot tell Google the query parameter. Had it been HHGreg, I simply have to put Q and Google will be able to say, because Google looks at query parameter called Q and say, hey, this is a search term. But in this case, there are no query parameters. But people have searched what they have searched, simulator. But you see the pattern here. It is laser ammo /search /simulator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this post method. Post method means browser made a request to server, and server responded to the result. But those instructions that were sent to server saying, server, I want these details, please send me, they were not sent as instructions to server as part of the URL. Right? They used a post method. So I have to convert this post method into a get method. And how I'm going to do that, I'm showing you a small JavaScript for that. So you see, I'm using variable, and I will write one regular expressions. So this is my regular expressions. You see, this is the URL, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to copy this. So what I'm going to do now here, rejects, I'll write a rejects. The rejects is you put in double slash and then I will put https colon / dot star. So if you want me to explain this, I think I've already created one course on regular expressions. So for people who wanted to really become expert at using regular expressions, they can go and use it. You see, I'll write that for you. https colon, then I'll put dot star. It matches everything, but then I wanted to get this. I'll use a capture group here because I want these details. Simply the URL will be not like this. You see, it is matching, right? So if somebody would go and, for example, let me go to this particular page, or let me go to this particular URL and copy this URL and come here and paste it. It will not match because it will match only this particular URL, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this expression, come to JavaScript, and I will put it here. Right, and then I'm writing condition if regex.test of page, then I will write if it matches. Then what I want to do is I want to get the search term. What is the search term? If you see the site, whatever people enter, it is coming after search. So I want to get this particular word. For example, instead of simulators, if I type some, okay, let me search here. If I type something called dry fire, right? You see, after search, this particular thing is coming. So what I'm going to do is I want to get that. But remember, whatever people enter is coming after search. So I'm trying to write a pattern which will match that. You see, search term is equal to regex.execute of page of 1. Why 1? Because I want to get the capture group. Once it is done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write page path. I'll write this code in GTM as well to tell you how you can manipulate this data even before I send this data over to analytics. So page path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something called hello. Question mark S is equal to plus search term. And just to show you, I'll write console log. Now you see what's going to happen. This is the URL I entered, right? Now when I run this code, you see what's going to happen. You see this whole string, which is the URL, is turned into a format. Now I can tell analytics, now please go and use this query parameter called yes, because whatever people search on my site is now appended as part of query parameter. So I'm turning a post-based search engine into a search-based search engine. Not technically, but even before I send this data to analytics, so now analytics can know. If analytics keep a track of this parameter called S, automatically whatever values come after S for query parameter S are nothing but what users have searched on the site, right? So I'm going to show the same thing when I go to Google Tag Manager. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one custom JavaScript firstly. I'm going to create one custom JavaScript. So I'm going to copy the same code here, but I have to make a little changes here and there because it's a function, so I have to write return statement. So what I'm going to do is rather than writing console log, I will say return. Now here what I'll do is, because I was showing in the console, your JS console, I had to write this. But here in this case, what I'm going to do is there's a inbuilt variable, right? So I'm simply going to use something called page path, because page path means if you're using analytics, the page path will be /search/dry fire. right? So I'm trying to read it. And whenever page path contains something called, so in that case, I should not be writing anything like this. Um, I don't think I have to write this, not required, because I'm writing page path, right? Earlier I was using page URL, I'm using page path. So I'll put it here. Rest of page, then search term plus search term, return something called page path. If it is not working, return page. This is the code here, function, regular expression. This is the thing that I want to match. So let me show you. So what I'm trying to do is here, I want to match, here I want to match only this part because this is the page path. So let me go to regex 101, put it here, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove HTTPS. In fact, I'm going to remove everything that comes after it. Now you see it matches, but I want only this particular part. Right, it matches. And then what I'm doing, if I write a test, because if in the page path, if this expression matches, holds true, then I want to write another function, regex.execute page one. Why I'm getting page one? Because I don't want to get search. I want to get the value which is after this. This is called capture group. So you see group one is dry fire 20. Instead of dry fire, if people would have searched on my site something called shooting equipments, we say shooting equipment come because I'm trying to capture them as part of a capture group. So, once you come here, I am writing that, and then I'm writing one variable page path is equal to search, and then I'm using concatenation search question mark s is equal to what you have to do. I want to get that particular value. What value will that be? Of one will be shooting equipment based on the URL, right? And I'm assigning that. I'm adding that to search term, and then return. So what this code will do is if people have searched and in their URL, if search is there, it will return that like this. For example, if people have searched, you see here people have searched for simulators, but that simulators have turned into what? Search question mark s is equal to simulators. Why? Because I'm turning it into query parameters, so Google can easily read it. So what I'll do is I'll write this. Now, if query parameters are not there, imagine if people simply go to URL like this. So there is no search here. In that case, I don't want something called s is equal to appear. That is why I wrote a regular expression saying, if in the page path regex matches, only then return that, modify that. If not, just return the page, that which is page path. So once I write this code, what I'm doing is, so let me write something called site search query parameter, or let me write search at query parameter. Change. So I've created this, and then I go to tags. I create a new tag. Remember, this has to be added to the same GA tag. So if you go to my site, I'll show you my all pages GA tag. Using GA4, there is my Google Analytics all pages. You see Google Analytics all pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this new value in the tracker object. What is tracker object? It's a big topic. So I'm manipulating the values which are set as part of the tracker object. So I go here, and in this I select the page name as the field name as page, and here I will choose that particular value. What value? Remember, we selected this, the one that we created right now. Right. So what I'm doing, whenever this tag fires on all pages, if the page URL contains search, that will be manipulated, and instead of sending slash search slash simulators, it will send slash search slash question mark s is equal to simulators. And that data, analytics will be able to read it because I know the query parameter which is yes, and I inform analytics in the site search tracking setup of Google Analytics, and Google will be able to give you all these reports, the reports that we've discussed at the beginning of the video. I hope this makes sense. It's particularly important for websites which are, which don't have this feasibility and you don't have a developer support. So in that case, you can use this custom JavaScript code and you can somehow manipulate the data even before the data is pushed to analytics. So this is one part of data collection strategies where you manipulate and override the data or the page fields, which is the page URL and page path, which is set on the tracker object, by overriding them even before the data is sent to analytics. So this is one amazing concept. If you want to use it, you can follow this video. And if you want more videos like this, please do subscribe to our channel. And if you want to receive our premium content, please do join our email list on our website and be the first to receive some of our amazing premium content that we post on YouTube. And also, if you like this video, please do subscribe and share it, and go and watch other playlists. We put some amazing content. And be sure to check our measurement bootcamp program and the other packet of courses that we created, like Facebook Pixel. We created one for regular expressions. We have one for Google Tag Manager and many others. But something that is something beyond and exciting. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.